What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. Terrence Bud Crawford is going to be fighting in November, but the $69,000 question is, who will his opponent be? I've heard a lot of things through my sources that his opponents is going to boil down to Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao or Ray Robinson. First of all, before I get into the details of what I've been hearing, man, first of all, R.I.P. to Nassim Richardson, one of the great trainers in boxing, trained Bernard the Executioner Hopkins and also Sugar Shane Mosley. So my thoughts and prayers goes out to the Richardson family. Now, as far as Terrence Bud Crawford goes, his promoter, Bob Arum, is trying to solidify opponent for the month of November. Now, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao is #1 on the hit list. Now, the thing that's kind of making that fight kind of like in a gray area, might happen, might not happen, is the fact that they're looking to get that fight overseas. And the places that they're looking at, those investors are waiting for clearance from the medical officials in those particular countries. Now, Bahrain was prominently mentioned earlier for us to stage the fight, and they had to kind of do a 180-degree turn because of the fact that they couldn't get the clearance from their medical officials, and they were saying that it'd be a better chance that they could host that fight in 2021. Now, Bob Arum and Terrence Crawford steadfastly want to get him in a fight at the end of the year. They don't want to wait till next year, so that kind of leaves the Manny Pacquiao possibility kind of up in the air. Now, next week he's going to get a firm answer to if those particular countries are able to host the fight. If they give them the green light that they can host that fight, get the clearance from their medical official, well, you'll see Terrence Bud Crawford and Manny Pacquiao overseas. Now, the countries that I'm hearing are Bahrain, and I'm hearing a couple other countries overseas that might be looking to host that fight too. Now, like again, Bob Arum will get an answer next week. Now, if they can't get that fight set up for overseas, then they're going to turn their attentions to Ray Robinson, and they'll put that fight in the bubble that they got set up in Las Vegas, and that fight will take place in November. So the bottom line is Terrence Crawford is fighting in November. It's just a matter of who will it be. Will it be Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao or will it be Ray Robinson? Those are the two opponents. It's going to be one of those two. So a lot of people mentioning Sean Porter, and they mentioning Kell Brook. People like that. It's not going to be any one of those two guys. I'm here to tell you right now. It's not going to be any one of those two guys. It's going to be Manny Pacquiao if that particular country can secure the fight there. Get the site fee set up there. The medical officials will allow that particular country to have a crowd there. If they're able to get the green light on both of those details, then they'll be able to host that fight between Manny Pacquiao and Terrence Crawford, and that'll be the fight that Top Rank will be looking to put on in November. If they don't get the go-ahead from that country, the country has to wait till maybe 2021 to put on that type of fight, and they don't get the green light from the government and the medical officials, then again, Bob Arum and Top Rank Boxing will turn their attention to Ray Robinson, and that would be an interesting fight. Simple fact that those two guys fought in the amateurs, and Ray Robinson was able to defeat Terrence Bud Crawford in the amateurs. Now, as we stand today, Terrence Bud Crawford is a much better fighter, a much more accomplished fighter than he was back then. And Ray Robinson at that point was probably a little bit more developed, and he was able to win that fight in the amateurs. If they fight, in November, it'll be a different situation. It'll be one, you won't be able to go back to that amateur fight and just think that's what's going to happen again in a matchup in November. That's going to be like night and day. But still, it'll be a good storyline, a good backdrop to a potential matchup between Terrence Bud Crawford and Ray Robinson. But again, that's what I'm hearing, man. So it's bottom line is #1 on the hit list is Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Bob Arum them is really trying to get that fight secured, but it's all up to the particular country that they're looking to stage that fight in. If they get the green light to host that fight over there, and like I said, it's not just the country and their investors. The investors have enough money to put up for the fight, but they got to get the green light from the medical officials and the government. They have to get the green light for those two people to have that fight there and have a crowd there. If they're able to get the green light and those investors are working diligently to try to make that happen, and they should, again, they're going to give Bob Arum an answer next week on if they'll be able to pull that off. If they're able to pull that off, you're going to see Manny Pacquiao versus Terence Crawford overseas. I'm not going to name the country that I've heard that's going to be, but it's going to be a country overseas. You know, y'all know some of you guys have heard some of the countries that were mentioned earlier, Bahrain, and that's one of the countries that I just can't say that's in the mix. And there's some other locations overseas that are looking to stage that fight. So Bahrain is trying to make that fight happen, man. It remains to be seen if he can be able to pull that off next week. Next week is the cutoff. It's the deadline. He's going to have to get a firm answer one way or the other. If they can't do that, again, they're going to look to go into the direction of Ray Robinson. And that fight will take place in November. Either one of these two fights is going to take place in November. So the bottom line is you will see Terence Crawford in the ring in November. It's just a matter of who opponent will it be. Will it be Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao or will it be Ray Robinson? But it will be one of those two guys. It won't be Kell Brook again. And again, it won't be Shawn Porter. It's not going to be any one of those two guys. It's down to two opponents. From what I'm hearing, it's down to two opponents. And like I said, number one, Plan A is Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Plan B is Ray Robinson. So let me know what you think in the comment section about Terence Bud Crawford. He needs to get a big fight, man. He needs to get a big opponent coming up, man. That's his the guy he's been linked to for the last year and a half to 2 years. Errol Spence Jr. is got a big fight coming up with Danny Garcia. So a lot of people are already saying that Errol Spence is doing the heavy lifting and Bud Crawford is sitting around there waiting on Errol to do all the hard work, and he can just sit back and fight lesser opponents and then come on in and fight Errol and have a chance to get all the belts after Errol had to go through the tough top dogs in the welterweight division, while Terence Crawford is fighting C-level type of fighters in the welterweight division. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires. Let me know what you think about Terence Bud Crawford. Who you want to see him fight next? You think you want to see him fight Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao? Which I should assume most of you want to rather see that fight than see him fight Ray Robinson. But let me know what you think about those two fights, and let me know what you think who's going to be the ultimate opponent for Terence Crawford in November. Do you kind of believe that Manny Pacquiao situation is wishful thinking and it's going to end up being Ray Robinson? Let me know what you think in the comment section. And subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.